My goodness, nerds, it's been too long. Hello, nerds. You might be joining to hear about the Common Sense Party. That's actually going to be a live stream that we're doing in a few hours. Our guest, Michael Maxetti from the Common Sense Party, will be joining us today at 10:30 Eastern. No, sorry, 10:30 Pacific time. So if you're watching this live, it's in a couple hours. Otherwise, it might already be on replay. But for this live stream, we are going to be doing a review of the U.S. presidential candidates. Very few have announced. The previous president has announced. But we're going to look at the sort of potential ones. And I'm going to put, if you're watching this in the live chat, I'm going to put a link to ofthepeople.us. So if you haven't already, now's your opportunity to approval vote whoever you're interested in supporting. And if you're watching this on replay, you can also still cast your vote because the vote will be open pretty much throughout the whole election. The beauty of this approach is that you don't have to pick one person. If you like more than one, or if you're okay with more than one, you can approval vote as many as you want. And it's also an open primary, in that you don't have to pick what party. You can approval vote someone from the Republican Party, someone from the Libertarian Party, and someone from the Forward Party, and someone from the Democratic Party, or any combination you want. So, ofthepeople.us, go ahead and vote, because what I'm going to do is I will be featuring the top trending ones actually like probably a couple minutes, and the ordering of who's trending is based entirely on the momentum of approval votes that they've received. So you can influence the order of the candidates that I'm going to be featuring. And then you can even, I'll show you later, you can sort by trending versus all-time approval votes. That'll give you a sense of total support versus like who's getting the most energy. But I'm curious, before we go over it in the chat, is there, if you take a different approach, that, because we're going to be using approval voting, but if you took it in terms of like, who would you be most excited to see? I'm curious who the top sort of, if we did star voting, who would you give 5 stars? Obviously, given the history of this channel, I personally would put Andrew Yang very high on my list. I'm also going to put someone that a lot of Yang supporters don't like, which is Pete Buttigieg. I just think he's super smart. I know a lot of people say he's too polished or he seems too scripted, but dude seems to be on his game. Is there anyone else that I would be excited to see? Actually, not really. But let me know in the chat if there's anyone that you would be excited to see. And in the meantime, we're going to pull up the current all-time and trending candidates and see who has gotten the most approval votes on ofthepeople.us recently. And as a reminder, it's free to vote. You just click on the person's name, and then there's a big blue approval button, and you just click that. And if you haven't signed in, it'll ask you sign in with Google, or you could create a username and password, and then approval vote whoever you want. All right, so let's see who's the hot candidate at the moment. And I know I was happy to see this, but I know some of you don't love him. But Pete Buttigieg. He's currently the trending OTP candidate based on number of recent approval votes. He's currently Secretary of Transportation. We're going to go and look at all-time votes as well. But at the moment, in terms of recent approval votes, you got Pete Buttigieg. Then, surprisingly, I was surprised to see this. This is one where I'm not, I'm fine with Biden. And I actually think he's done a much better job than I think most people expected. And, congrats to President Biden for a successful military action against the Chinese balloon over South Carolina. And kudos, of course, to our military, because you got to imagine, I was thinking about it this morning, if that operation didn't get pulled off successfully, that would have been a very tough, messaging kind of moment for the president and the Pentagon. And I gotta believe that is not a practiced exercise where you're like, oh, imagine there's a floating balloon and you have to take a F-22 jet to fly up to this very slow-moving, strangely shaped target and shoot a missile at it. I would imagine they probably train more shooting down aircraft or maybe fast-moving drones or ships and things, but not floating balloons. So kudos to I'm guessing it was the Air Force. I don't know. Maybe some naval aviators were involved, but kudos to them. But yeah, Joe Biden is numero dos right now. Looks like in the chat you have some commentary. Jay Perrin is saying, love Yang, but I think he should wait out this one and keep focusing on the forward party. Well, that's a fair point. And Jonathan LeBron says, he supports Yang, but it ain't happening. Maybe Marianne Williamson, Kyle Kalinske. Okay, for the star voting, if you did it. Those would be your 5 stars. All right, let's see who's after Biden. Glenn Youngkin. So what's interesting is this is a open primary. And so what's kind of cool is third place is a Republican. He's currently the governor of Virginia. Actually, I don't know much about him. I did research a little bit about him, but if you don't know a lot about him, you could see that he is, this guy is he's a little bit like a Romney Republican. Super smart, very accomplished. Grew up in Virginia, had a basketball scholarship at Rice, where he studied engineering. He has an MBA from the Harvard Business School. Then he worked his way up to the top of Carlyle Group, which is a massive investment firm. Then he ran for governor, built a coalition of Republicans, Democrats, Independents, Suburbans, basically everybody. Signed 11 executive orders in his first day or day one agenda. And then we can watch a little bit of him talking. Let's see.
First of all, thank you for joining us here today.
Let me know if you can hear the
to see where
audio.
you're going. I just want to ask a broad question to begin with, because you've been saying
Can you guys
that
hear
when you got
this?
into this race, you didn't recognize your
Let me
home state of
fast forward.
Virginia anymore. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, well, what's happened in Virginia over the course of really the last 8 years is the economy stalled out. And schools all of a sudden started dropping in rankings and expectations, and our kids' performance started to drop. And Virginia became more dangerous. We're at a 20-year high in murder rate. And we've seen Virginia get really expensive for people. And all of a sudden we're...
So, oh, good. I'm glad. Thank you, John, for confirming. So that's a little bit, Youngkin, he's basically like a very reasonable, now, I'm sure critics would say he's kind of a establishment Republican. I'm not sure this guy would be leading the charge to storm the Capitol on Jan 6. He probably would have been a little bit skeptical of that approach. He probably thinks that 2020 election was, you know, kind of legit. So I'm guessing the Youngkin will not get a lot of Trump core support, but he might pull a lot of moderate Democrats if there were a general election and he made it that far, who might feel like, hey, the Democratic Party is a little bit shifted further to the left than people were comfortable. Unfortunately, I suspect Youngkin would do well on an OTP and of the people primary because it's open and anybody can vote, and it's also approval. In a traditional Republican winner-take-all, first-past-the-post primary, where you have a whole bunch of candidates and the primary voters can only pick one, you could see it splintering the votes, and the most kind of like activist-based candidate would do much better, which is probably Donald J. Trump, believe it or not. Can't believe we're still talking about him, and it's freaking 2023, but there you go. Yes, we're also still talking about Biden. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, then you've got, on trending votes, you got Amy Klobuchar. Woo! Hold on. Oh, I don't know how people on broadcast media sneeze, but this is a YouTube live stream, so we're gonna keep going. Woo! Okay. Okay. So next up, you've got. Thank you very much, Juana. So you got Amy Klobuchar, who again probably would not do well in a normal primary. I just don't think anybody's like fired up about Amy Klobuchar. They're fine with her. You know, she's from Minnesota. She's hardworking, probably very reasonable. And credit to approval voting for her to move up the list. But, I mean, can you see her doing well in a Republican primary? Probably not. So this kind of highlights the power and the difference with approval voting. Although some people would say, hey, if you've got people like Buttigieg and Biden trending, it kind of shows that approval voting, you end up with people who are just like, everybody can live with them and nobody's super excited. You know, if you compare that to the results of the Republican primary last time, you know, everybody was so excited in the Republican Party about Trump within the activist wing of the Republican Party. But then, you know, how does he do as a president of the whole country? You know, most people would say that setting record levels of polarization is not a great outcome. I'm sure he would blame it on the media. And the witch hunts. And the fake news. Okay, so next you've got Chris Christie. Now, Chris Christie is someone that might actually do okay in a Republican primary even with first past the post voting. I mean, I always thought he was a credible candidate even when he ran against Trump in 2016. But I guess, or 15, but I guess we'll have to see if he throws his hat in the ring. He certainly seems like he will. How he navigates being a Trump confidant and part of the Trump team, at least the campaign, first establishment Republican to endorse him, and then running against him, like, that'll be difficult. But, you know, Chris Christie he's a street fighter. Then you have Justin Amash, who I think is a former Republican turned libertarian. Yeah, I don't know much about him. Let's see. We'll click on his name. Let's see here. So you see a little bit of his background. Lawyer, politician. Those aren't the two things that a lot of us love. But, oh, he's a son of immigrants. That's kind of cool. Studied econ in Michigan. Has a law degree from Michigan Law. Then was in the House of Representatives, part of Liberty Caucus, Freedom Caucus. So he's a little Trumpy to that extent. Oh, but he called for the impeachment of Trump. Very impressive. That took some brass ones. And then he formed an exploratory committee to seek the Libertarian presidential nomination. Let's see a little bit of his video.
All opposed.
I think that the emphasis should be on getting us back to our roots as a country. What do we believe in as a basic set of principles? And really what this country is about is liberalism in the classical sense. The idea that people should be able to be free to make their own decisions about their lives, and government, to the extent possible, should just stay out of it.
Justin Amash was a Republican congressman from Michigan, once described by Politico as the new Ron Paul in Congress because of his willingness to buck party line votes on principle. He switched his affiliation to the LP in his fifth and final term, making him the party's highest office holder since its founding in 1971. He explored a run for the Libertarian Party president.
Justin Amash. Interesting. I might personally have to give him my own approval vote. I like the independent thinking. I like the fact that yes, he was in the Freedom Caucus, and I associate that with like the Boeberts and the Matt Getzes of the world. But he also voted to impeach Trump, and he has a law degree from Michigan, son of immigrants, libertarian tendencies. Like, okay, I can give you my approval vote. So just so you guys know, this is how you do it. What I'll do is I'll click on approve here, and because I'm already signed in, it'll register my vote. And then if I change my mind, I can say remove approval. And then if I go back to the trending list, I can continue looking at candidates, and here's Justin. So if more of you guys, if you like Justin and you want to approval vote him, he'll move up the list. Right now he is number 1, 2. Whoa, he's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On trending, on all time, he's probably not quite as high. Then you have Andrew Yang. We all know this guy. If you haven't already, you can approval vote him on ofthepeople.us, and it'll bump him up the list. Then you have Mike Pence, Hillary Clinton. Incredible that she's still in the scene. Kamala Harris. I mean, the fact that Kamala Harris is so low, you cannot disapprove candidates, Erez. You can approve, and then you can just elect not to vote for people. So then you have, Kamala Harris is the sitting VP, former U.S. Senator. You would think she'd do better, but I think this kind of is an indicator that, her biggest achievement is probably getting picked by Biden to be her VP. And that wasn't by people voting. In fact, I think she was polling pretty poorly in the Democratic primary. So this will be an interesting one to see how it works. Obviously there is if Biden doesn't run, a lot of people will think that, well, it's kind of Kamala's turn. She might be like the heir apparent. But I don't know. I just think, even Trump might be able to beat her in a general. Jonathan, I'm actually surprised. Yeah, so This is based on recent approval votes. I think it works like in the last week or so. We'll do an all-time stack rank in a second, but this will just give you a sense of who's getting the most votes very recently. And I would imagine Newsom would be higher than her. Then you have Larry Hogan. He's from Maryland. He's a little bit like, I think he's a little bit like, what was the dude? Youngkin. I think Hogan's another kind of like a reasonable Republican. Oh, I skipped Gavin Newsom. So Gavin Newsom is the governor of my state, the great state of California. There were a lot of people in the sort of MAGA world who were convinced that he was going to be recalled, and oh, what a disaster California is, and they're recalling Gavin Newsom. And my mom, who's in the MAGA, she Fox News, Tucker Carlson, all that kind of thing. She was like, oh, Gavin Newsom's getting recalled. And I was like, I don't think your news information is being honest with you, because the threshold to mount a recall election in California is pretty low. So if you could get a bunch of disgruntled kind of MAGA folks who scrape together some signatures, you can actually mount a recall campaign. It's not quite as easy as what you could do now in the House to recall or remove McCarthy, but it's pretty low. And it turned out that Newsom's pretty popular. I don't know anybody that loves Newsom, but he is the governor of probably one of the most important or largest states in the country that generates a big chunk of the whole country's economic activity and food and innovation and arts and media and science, agriculture. So, important state. I would say being governor of California is probably harder than being governor of a lot of other states. But the thing about Newsom is he could be a great counterpoint to Trump, because he would probably be a pretty tough fighter against Trump. But he, in and of himself, I don't know. I'm okay with him. I'm fine with him. Now you got Larry Hogan, who I mentioned is kind of like another Youngkin, Romney. Seems very reasonable. I think the thing about Hogan is he's pretty kind of very accessible, approachable.
On that?
I'm pretty satisfied that we actually did run through the tape and we landed the plane. I think we left it all on the field. It's not like...
Okay, let us just excuse Larry for mixing about 15 metaphors in one sentence. We all do it. He definitely does it. But that's just a side commentary.
Like we solved every single problem that was out there, but I feel a sense of satisfaction that we actually got a lot of the things done that we said we were going to do. The state is in much better shape than when we found it, and we just kept working right to the end. There was no quit in us, I'll tell you that.
It's a weird thing to ask people why they think they're popular, because the answer sometimes comes off self-serving. But throughout your term, Marylanders have given you pretty high popularity ratings, and I'm curious why you think that is. That wasn't necessarily a given at the start of your term, a Republican in a Democratic state. Why have your constituents responded to you in the way they have?
Well, first of all, I appreciate the fact that the people of Maryland, after 8 years, still seem to be happy with the job that we're doing. And it's, I wish I was popular back in high school. There's this not really popularity, but job approval. So, 74% of...
All right, so that's Larry Hogan. I kind of like this guy. He seems very reasonable, which is a word that I keep using. I want leaders who are reasonable. And so I'm going to actually give him in real time now my approval vote. Okay, so let's go back to the candidates list. And then we'll go filter by POTUS. All right, so we'll go back down. Yeah, you see, because I just voted him up, he bumped up a point. And then you've got Marianne Williamson. I think a lot of us are familiar with Marianne. Probably you'd call her on the more progressive wing of the progressive side of the Democratic Party, as you would Nina Turner. Nikki Haley, I'm surprised she's not getting more approval votes. Again, we'll see what it looks like on the all-time ranking. But there's Nikki. She also, like Chris Christie, has to navigate this like she was kind of semi-part of Trump world, but will be running against him if she runs. Ron DeSanctimonious, as the former president likes to call him, Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida. I mean, I think the same reason you got to give credit to Gavin Newsom for running a huge state, you got to give similar credit to Ron DeSantis. I personally don't love his style, but I know a lot of my MAGA family are very big fans of DeSantis. Then you got Brian Kemp, probably another reasonable Republican. Tim Scott. That would be interesting to have a black Republican nominee. I don't know if the Republican Party is going to go in that direction. And then you have Donald Trump on the bottom with Ted Cruz and Mike Pompeo. Mike Pompeo, man, that guy is just struggling. So let's see. That's based on recent approval votes, like in the last, I think, few days. Now we're going to go and sort by all time. So you see here it's by trending, which is by recent. So now we'll go all time. Obviously, a lot of the people who follow me and follow this show are former Yang Gang. So not surprising that Andrew Yang is numero uno on the all-time number of approval votes. I will say Buttigieg holds up as number 2. Then you've got Gavin Newsom as number 3. So Jonathan LeBron, I think your intuition was right that Newsom is stronger than Harris. Then you got Biden. Then you have Williamson, Youngkin, Klobuchar, Amash, Hogan, Christie, Turner, Pence, Clinton, Harris. Geez, Harris is struggling. Haley, pretty low as well. DeSantis not doing too good. Kemp, Scott, Trump, Cruz. So both trending and all-time. Cruz and Pompeo are pretty much the undisputed leaders in being the least approved people of the people.us. So, hopefully you found this kind of overview interesting. I also want to thank the people who make this live stream possible, and those are our channel members. So if you're watching this and you want to see more live streams like this, click that join button on YouTube. And if you're like, hey, it's only $1.99 a month, you cancel anytime. And if you can't do that, can you do me your next best thing is to subscribe and share, and so that other people can see, what would happen if there were a approval powered open presidential primary. If you have anyone that's interested and isn't only interested in talking about Trump versus Biden and seeing that, wow, we do have some other options here. So who are our channel members? Our highest member is Soldier One. He's a SVP. So thank you, Soldier One. Really appreciate it. At the VP level, next down, you have Kristen Slevin and Bike. Kristen's been a supporter for 3 years of this content. So thank you, Kristen. And then the next level down, you have our hardcore, Gene, David, DK, Jackalego, Kirsch, Mr. History, Mona, Vaughn, Yang, Robert, Dean, Statnerd, Galessa, Jay Perrin. I think Jay Perrin was in the chat. AH, Dana, Jason, Parth, Daniel, and Mickey. And thank you to StreamYard for helping support our streaming costs. And then you have our verified. These are entry level. Anybody can join. $1.99 a month. Definitely less than a cup of coffee. Lisa, Albert, Brandon, Erez, Sophia, Doris, Emerald, Ben, Rasta, James, Emma, Ira, Elizabeth, Shoni, Dr. Jameson, William, Karen, Zemery, Mai, Brittany, Warren, Wana. I think Wana's in the chat. Lucky, Kevin, Nell. Ooh, it skipped. Toby, Jeremy. Oh, I forgot. I'm supposed to give a little background music while I do this. Hold on. Here we go. Okay. Where did I leave off? I'll just pick up Toby, Jeremy, David, Nicholas, Mike, Aurora, Zig, N, and Roberto. And who are our oldest members, irrespective of level? The OG supporters of this channel. They are Lisa Childress, Jean Lim, Kristen Slevin, Albert Tom, Brandon David, Arez, and David. All 3 years of continuous support. And then newest members are Roberto, N. Carter, Zig PC, Aurora, and Mickey, all within the last 4 months. So thank you for being such great supporters, and really appreciate you making this channel possible. I'm enjoying, we're going to have hopefully an interesting 2024. Yes, Vaughn, shout out to you, my brother. and listen to Vaughn, just click the join button. You get a shout out every time. It helps keep this content going. Oh, Katie Porter, yes. I think I might have to add her to the OTP primary. I will do that this week. And by the way, ofthepeople.us is an entirely volunteer-created website. And there are Patreon supporters who help make that project possible. And so if you want to support OTP, basically our mission is just to create more exposure for candidates and to kind of highlight people that you may not have heard of, or that you know just deserve a little more just kind of exposure, and then to allow you to kind of approval vote and make your opinion heard before the party primaries kind of finalize their picks. So who are some of the people that make this the Patreon supporters who make ofthepeople.us possible? In order of support, you have Eric Sanchez, Elizabeth Owen, Tohir Tilly, Tony P, Rockout, Iggy C, Aaron S, John P. I think that's Jay Perrin supporting. He's doing double support for OTP and NFH. So thank you, Jay Perrin. Hold on. Rob, Timothy J, Jessica G, Trickle Up, Muhan Z, Travis C, Austin B, Byram H, Christina S, Mai Z, Dylan, Gene L, Thrive, Brian, Stephanie Loves Gaming, Sujin, Raul, Michael L, Nathan, Noah, Omar, Chance, Kimberly, Patrick, Damian, Pat. Woo, a lot of supporters, and Pat E. But the biggest ones for sure are Eric Sanchez, Elizabeth Owen, Tohir T, Tony P, and Rockout, Iggy C, and Aaron Sarnat, John P, and Rob. So thank you. You guys are awesome. I have to jump to another call, actually to an ofthepeople.us design meeting. So we're going to make some improvements to the Of the People website this year, partly because of people who've been supporting us. So thank you so much for that. And if you want to see more about the Forward Party merger with the Common Sense Party, you can check it out on the live stream we'll be doing at 10:30 today Pacific time. And hold on, 10:30 Pacific time. Oh, that's my that thing is my Google Nest Max. Hey Google, stop. Okay, alarm canceled. Yeah, that's reminding me that I have to go to a ofthepeople.us design meeting. But I'll say goodbye, nerds, and goodbye to you, Vaughn, as well. See you guys. If you want to hear more about the merger with the Common Sense Party, 10:30. Subscribe to be notified and join as a member. But if you can't, just smash the like button. That's pretty reasonable. You could just do that right now. All right? You going to hook me up? See you guys later. Bye, nerds.